Hello everybody, I was watching this video last night and I asked IRS Media if I could mirror this video and they said yes, so I'm mirroring his video. I just like, well, I don't like it, but I like the fact that he's showing like there's loads of rubbish everywhere, but can we ever tell what's the truth? But anyway, I like his take on this, so I'm adding this video. Thank you very much, IRS Media. Mwah.
Welcome everybody, welcome to the show. It's Billy Boone coming to you from Ottawa, Canada. Here, a big shout out to this guy that I got took his photos off Flickr. Here he is in 1970 something. And here's the same post, the same corner, the same sort of car right beside him 10, 20 years later. Anyway, Ellis Island. This is somewhat of a quick deep dive. Ellis Island here. Essentially on New York and the surrounding areas. Going back to 1907 to in and around 1970, 72 perhaps. There's 1970. If you see the neighborhood behind, this is the top of the World Trade Center. You can see the neighborhoods that they cleared, they took out in and around 1969. They cleared the whole area and they made landfill. That's the top of the World Trade Center. Probably before the antenna, I guess, or maybe that's the one without. No, you can read for yourself what it says down there. It's just essentially, what did it say, 1969, 67? Look down in the left corner there, there's all kinds of crazy rebar coming out of the cement. Here you can see right through the World Trade Center what is now famous slotted what they call the mesh, kind of a mesh outer frame for the World Trade Center too. I think it might be one or two, I'm not sure. Here they're actually I'm looking at the rebar coming out of there. Some major excavation, some major work happening in and around that area around this time. Let's see. Huge neighborhoods being plowed over, and yet the Bronx is still a disgusting mess, as we know. They left it like that until the 80s. So I guess this is the gentrification. I don't see how you have all these huge buildings on the right, and then on the left you've got just like dumping zone, like a dump. I don't understand that about New York City in the 70s. It's crazy. Anyway, looking at this another tourist photo, just interesting. I was just trolling his Flickr and I found all of these cool photos. So I thought, man, this is going to make for a whole show. Look at all these. So I did touch them up a little bit. Some of these, the black and white ones, and the colored, I tried to just leave the colored shots alone. There's the World Trade Center there with the slotted fork sticking out of the ground look. I'm sure you know. So this was shots in and around the World Trade Center as it was being built. There you can see the second tower. This would be in and around 1975. This gentleman had, his father was in an office building right next to one of these office buildings down there, right next to the World Trade Center, as you'll see, as it was being built. Now this is probably World Trade Center 1 through 5. I'm not sure which one it would be yet. It's the black one. It might be World Trade Center 3. I don't think that's the secret building built in 1980 across the street. That was World Trade 7, wasn't it? World Trade 5, I forget now. And they blew them all up. Anyway, this is New Jersey looking towards the Statue of Liberty. Here, this is off of his Flickr, and This would be upstate New York, in and around, coming into the city. More of a 1970s shot. You can see all the Volkswagens everywhere. Just, I thought I captured something on the corner there, so I was trying to check it out. There's the World Trade Center in the back, but look at the foreground. Like, what the holy F is going on with this garbage just littered everywhere? This is like the Bronx. This is how the Bronx looked in 1979. You can watch the movie. It's called Fort Apache, the Bronx. And yeah, we had these skyscrapers built on the other side of the river. And I guess this would be after the cleanup, and they put all their cars, they parked all their cars down there. No, here I'm looking at this building in the foreground. We have one similar like it. I'm just call it the Lego building. It looks like Lego, kind of. Two on the bottom, one on the top. And then the pointy one comes behind or near with two on the bottom, one on the top as well. I've seen this those two buildings go together somehow. I'm telling you, they did that on purpose. It's almost like two paws, and then the two paws of the in the back. But whatever, you'll see. I think there's another example of it over here coming up. To be honest with you, here you can see the bridge way in the back there. Super populated. The policemen with the bricks everywhere, piles and piles of bricks in the old school trains. Iron, lots of iron, and just that train system and bridges. The bridges, you know, my God, you're looking. That's an inheritance. You're inheritors. I hate that here in America. Oh, look at the street. Look at the washed out street. It's just what? How do you come by a car and you can't afford a street? The whole inheritor story, right? The American, well, men built this country, and we men deserve a Budweiser. Right. Just looking at the dome here, this looks to be perhaps Coney Island. Not totally sure. Quite bizarre. You wouldn't see this kind of Tartarian fare nowadays. It's really super old school. Luna. What can I tell you? It looks like a permanent structure. I think it's Coney Island. I'm not an expert, but that would be my guess. Somewhere out there, Staten Island. And here, just look at what is going on with the land. I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, just trying to figure it out. Again, here, inheritors in front of this massive look at the domes on the top of that building, too, that we can see. All right, sketchy guy on the left, but at the end of the street, it's like a huge mound of earth flowing into the side of that building. The street stops, everything stops, and it was a mound piled up there because they were inundated. And they had to bury them. They had to unbury themselves. I'm just trying to figure out what this is. If anyone knows, please leave it in the comments. The bridges, the canals, waterways. Here, kind of speaks for itself. I'm just looking for mounds and mounds of dirt, but they had nowhere else to put it, so they. Here again with the screwed up road. Whack. Okay, so maybe, concrete wasn't a big thing for the roads back then. Maybe a dirt road was an honest road. But I don't see how that's possible. They make the buildings out of here. They just take it for what it is. I think it was parked on the beach and was buried by the tide. But it's a good example of perhaps how they found it. We're looking at it. Evidence in this video from a reset of a date of 1907. You're gonna see a tunnel coming up that was totally melted, and there's evidence to suggest it was melted in the year 1907. So here's nearest Battery Park, New York City. I'm looking at the location. What would have been those battery buildings beside the World Trade Center that were built sometime in the 70s. I can't find pictures of them being built or a picture of it. I thought that was the battery building beside the World Trade Center, because one looks like that, but it wasn't. Now, this one he calls the Gothic building with the bricked up doors, I guess. I don't see why you would ever build up something like that if you were going to brick it up, or you built it like that and then bricked it up. It's just bricked up. That's an old building. On the water in the harbor somewhere. Now there's just mounds of dirt that they put a fence. And then if you notice right beside, on the right of that fence, there's more track. So they're trying to shore it up, get the tracks cleared. And in the process, they buried one set of tracks down on the right-hand side. You can see the boxcar on the right beside the road. Perhaps it's a streetcar and those are cross-country cars. I don't know. An old school building with 1975, like in New York City in the back. Like Different Strokes. Different Strokes. Remember that show? Coach Greg Adams' show. He said it was his favorite show of all time. And then here he says, yeah, if you blink, you'll miss it. The tunnels in New York City as you pass on the subway. Wrong way. Now here's the tunnel that melted. Read the bottom. So it looks like they barely got out. Well, what happened here? That's the new tunnel on the right. There was a reset, I'm thinking right around 1905, 06, 07, somewhere in there. And that's why they started the Great War, to kill everyone off after that. And send all the orphans all over the place. There's no other evidence to suggest other than something happened here, and I don't see how that would have melted, but he says it looks like they just barely made it out alive. It's like a cave system now, what they're like scratching their head going, how did this happen? The buildings are fine on the top, but then the jagged rocks on the left, like we get everywhere, the cliff face. There's the old school fucking building. Iron going right into it. Okay, here, what do we have here? Clearing, more clearing. Dock area for the expansion, the World Trade Center. This might have been earlier, this one. This is earlier. Here, again, we're looking at, well, you can judge for yourself with the cars if you can see any. Nice shot here under the bridge with their horses. A horse and buggy. I don't even know how they fucking get around with those things. It's a pain in the ass to drive a horse. They had electric cars, for fuck's sakes. You know? What's with that? Are these buildings for living in? Because I don't see, like, okay, maybe curtains, but even when they're demolishing them, I don't see any personal possessions of anyone, anywhere. So anyway, going through the photos like we used to, on this channel, going through it, looking at the old school photos. This is the infrastructure crossing the river. You'll see it from the other side. Good point. You can almost see the ether being sucked out of the freaking air there. It's like a little warp in the air with the smokestacks in the back. Awesome. Here, it's hard for me to tell actually, when I got this thing on the side. I can't really see as well as I normally can because I'm recording my voice, but you can see for yourself the old school, what was left over, and that's the harbor. I'm looking for Battery Park. I'm looking for those batteries that took down the World Trade Center. They lined them up from New Jersey, used the batteries on that side. Bam, hit them with a particle reactor. Particle accelerator. Now here you go, here's the World Trade Center. I tried to clean it up. Here it's being built, roughly 1975. Another like leftover building, and a lot of the buildings around are just in disrepair. Holes in the walls, in the brick walls. Look at that. Where the other house stood, and that house went down. On the left, you got missing houses. There she is, Lady Liberty. Amongst all the garbage and trash, all the old rusting cans and fucking industrial waste. There's the bridge from the other side. Now you're seeing it. We got little wooden houses on that side. Holy fuck. Is that floodplain? Okay, now you got these huge arches down there. It's probably for the dock. And on the left, more tiny little houses. I think they just popped up. I don't know. Might be Ellis Island. I just love this shot. I always have. Here, taken from the rooftop maybe of the Chrysler building. Not totally sure. One of those taller buildings. And you can see smoke coming at the top of that pyramid building. Right at the top there. Smoke. Some sort of exhaust system. Pretty cool. Now this would be early on too. I'm looking at the technology on the roof on the left. Some sort of antenna device. Lots of lights on the rooftops too. It's like, what is it? Is it just a, like advertising sign thing? Then I had to press pause there and have a coughing fit. Holy crap. And then, so yeah, you got the lights up top and the cars down below. So this would be probably 1970. I'm sorry I didn't catch it. It's hard for me to see. Like 1950s. Now this buried building destroyed, it looks like super modern, like neo-Gothic, almost like what they would call the metropolitan look in, what they call everything, the New York look, the metropolitan look in Ottawa. Like these buildings are being built now, trying to mimic this proportion. If it was boxy, they'd call it the Chicago look in architecture. This is more of a Gothic. You could call it neo-Gothic. Anyway. Buried streets with mounds of dirt and stuff going on underneath. No one builds like this. This is inherited, obviously, as John Levi said. They tried to sweep stuff under the carpet. And they probably just kept the place going just barely, right? I mean, like, you just barely keep the place going. Everyone dies for some reason, 1907. And you go and you kill a bunch of people left over. And then you reset at that point and actually have a war to kill anyone else off that's like around. Here's the top of the World Trade Center. Looking at the cleared land of the whole neighborhood was cleared. They said this was like a port town area. They had to put that huge highway in on the left there, and that's why they made the big divide, and they just crushed everything on the right. This is a newer shot. That'd be a power plant. Here I had to come in back and look at this Ellis Island again. Look at the top of this building. I'm gonna sweep in here. Look at this. It's like a huge griffin in there at the top of that gate. Worth an investigation, methinks. That'd be an easy one. That might be my next video. That building right there with the freaking huge gate on Ellis Island. I just like the sound of it. Now, here's the red brick building they're taking out during 1970 and when they're redoing the whole harbor and when they built the World Trade Center. It's pieces of just stuff left over from the last century back there. That's what I was actually looking at originally when I downloaded this. But here, they're hauling it away, bricks and all. This is just a disgusting mess. What the hell were they thinking in the 70s with their New York City? Look at this. It's just I guess you just accept that New York is just like a higher standard, I guess. New York is you know, they cleaned it up. So here we are, ghosts. Like ghosts. Here today, gone tomorrow. I hope you're doing well, everybody. Take care.
And then I was watching this video that Rudy has on his channel, and I really don't think he'll mind me sharing it with you. Anyway, thank you very much, Rudy. Mwah!
Car, Grand Corridor, Mosaic Forward, Villa, Yakutora. Look at all this, all the shore beard and spot I want it up. Look at that. Templar as fuck. Tell me that's not Templar. Villa, Yakutora. 1932, 1939, just before the Second World War broke out. And we all know that all the nations were digging about all over the place, weren't they? I've got them, look, there's another one, look at that. All these villas with all these symbols, mosaics. Just a good resource, eh? So look at this. You know, a Kindle can take it. I just get a memory card. Well, everything's always a temple, innit? Temple this, temple that. Everything. They find 3 fucking stones together, it's a temple. Well, small temple from Southware. Temple, obviously. Temple. Then after like 1,000 years or so, we start getting castles, don't we then? No, it's still not castles, it's all temple, temple, and it's castle, castle. Right, there you go. Just, if you're interested in going, and you've got time, you can go and have a look through. There's some good stuff, but there's a lot of stuff you have to search, you have to sign into. Well, permissions and all that, you know. Like, cheated by, take care of your love and light, peace.